Welcome to Heated Rivalry, the replay.
The replay!
We recap each episode and give our hot takes.
Be sure to watch to the very end where we cover the replay report card for this episode. We'll talk about how raunchy this episode was, how real it felt, and also how riveting it was. Stay tuned.
I'm Max.
And I'm Harjot.
Join us as we discuss the latest scroll-stopping content.
This is Scroll Interrupted.
Wow, so episode 5.
Episode 5.
I was screaming and crying during a lot of this.
It was like, you know what? It was I think it was like technically one of the longer episodes. It was like 53 minutes of runtime versus like the 46, 45.
Okay.
And it felt like it went by super, super quick.
Yeah.
But there was so much that happened. I felt like it was like 3 episodes in one at the same time, but it like just whizzed by.
It felt like a movie.
It
to
did.
be honest.
It did. It was giving movie.
It was giving movie, yeah. We're going to talk about the leading ladies setting their men free. And we're going to talk about the phone as a means of connection, both emotionally and sexually.
Then we're going to talk about how we got a lot of emotional range from Ilia in this episode, and then also revisiting the Skip saga, plus so much more.
So anyways, my favorite part was probably in the beginning when we were, getting introduced again to the Rose-Shane relationship.
Yes.
Like that nice and neatly kind of came to a nice closure.
It did, and I felt like I actually really appreciated how she took control in that situation.
I like Rose. I've always said I liked her.
Yeah. Because I think like before we were kind of like trying to understand what her role was going to be, like not having read the books. And I think that like her seated at that restaurant, Shane walking into the scene.
Trying to get him to be honest.
And then just like using different techniques. I've actually experienced conversation where it's like, how do I know something about this person? Like she knows he's gay.
She's like, I want to be your safe space.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know where that relationship was going when we knew that Shane was struggling with whether he wanted to be with Rose when he actually really wants to be with Ilia. So I'm like, oh no, is it going to get really messy? But she like offered him this like safe space to finally like come out to someone.
It was really nice. I like seeing that side of her. It was really like sweet and maternal.
I know.
But also like very like protective. And it didn't end in a way of like, oh, hey, I'm gone forever.
Yeah.
And maybe she's in the books. You guys can tell us. But like, it just felt like also we're going to be best friends. We're going to be like, we're going to be really close.
And then that actually, like, she does become a close friend as you see through the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And I loved it when she was like, do you want to be with do you want to kiss Miles instead of me or something?
Yeah.
She brings up Miles. Remember how you're like, who is Miles? Somebody tell me about Miles. I was like, everyone's talking about Miles. Like Miles sneaks in there. She's like, that's her like soft way of saying like, are you gay? Would you rather? I feel like you'd rather be kissing Miles instead of me.
Yeah, I noticed this one like really small like gesture that like Shane did as she was kind of like allowing him to be open. He just kind of does this nervous laughter and then like covers his mouth. And like because he's trying to process what to say because it's all coming together. But she grabs his hand. She's like, it's okay if you are. And I felt like that was really like sweet and real, and like it just allowed him to like really open up in a way that felt genuine.
I've heard of exes being friends, but I was like, wow, I'm seeing it. Actually, I'm like, I want them to be friends.
And her, I think her character was written to have like real experience with gay men because she's like, I went to theater school. I've dated gay men before. Like, I can see the signs.
Her best
and she's
friend
like,
is Miles.
Yeah, she's like, it's very obvious to me. She's like, apparently the intimate situations that they find themselves in, she can tell it's not fulfilling. It's not working.
Did she say something like 70%? And then she like changed. She's like 80% because she's like adding him to the equation. I love that. The math was mathing. It was so good. I loved it.
It was really nice. It was cute. And I felt like, I think a lot of gay men can probably appreciate like how they have close women in their circle that just make it very safe and very okay to be who they are.
I like that. That felt authentic.
So coming into this episode, I think we noticed like right off the bat, like Ilia's character just has so much more range. I think we were both kind of like hungry for this a little bit. We were like unsure of like how to read because he was very calm and cool, right?
Yeah, he was reading a little bit like awkward in the previous episode, but I felt like I could read more of his like vulnerability, his like yearning, his like I want Shane, I miss Shane like throughout this episode, but there being obviously the obligations and like the real risks that he was facing. Like that was a lot more in the front of this episode, and I felt like after a bit of the beginning with a Shane focus, it's like we turned our attention to the world of Ilia. Like,
yes, and I feel like we got a lot more clarity around like his father. I think there's a direct acknowledgement of like, hey, yeah, it's dementia, and I know you mentioned this last time. Like, there's just a lot more clarity around what's going on in his world, and he has a breakdown. And we'll get into this a little bit later around like
made me feel so sad for him.
Yeah, the culture, the like being an immigrant, and also like struggling. Like he's struggling because he's like this. He's kind of, even though he's in a family situation where he's like the son, and he's kind of like this, you know, shining like athlete that you would think would get like this special treatment. He's actually has a lot of pressure on him. He's responsible for a lot. And then I think we also like, one of the things like I found really cute was like when they're at the All-Star game in Tampa. Okay. They're like seated at the bar. He's wearing like that, the Hawaiian shirt. Which is like, oh, okay, this is different. They're trying like, you kind of see his like goofy side come out, right?
Yeah, you know what? You're right, because it's like in the styling of him, it's a little bit more relaxed.
It is. Yeah. And then like also we see like glimpses of him being kind of a little bit more like goofy and in his kind of like element, where he kisses Shane during the game in a way that like I think it's playful. To the world it could be brotherly, but then also it's like maybe it's a little bit more cheeky or
like
or whatever.
He misses that like playful intimacy that they have, and when they're at the bar, I just want to talk about like the cute moment when Shane's like, "Oh, I got a stylist."
Yeah.
And then they brought it like, and then right away like Ilia was jealous, thinking he was doing it for Rose.
Yes.
And then he lets him know like,
and then it is very clear, because Ilia asks about Rose twice.
Yes.
I noticed like in the somewhat beginning of the episode, just to see like where he stands and if he's still dating her. And then he's also, I remember they were like going through like the comments on the phone of like, hey, this is like the it couple, and like Shane, you could tell when he's looking at those comments, he kind of like feels the facade in it a little bit. Yeah. Whereas like Ilia's looking at those comments from like a bit of a jealous
and perspective. I'm sure Shane was like anticipating that it could be hurtful to Ilia. And then I liked when Ilia was like he latched onto the word incompatible, like we're not compatible.
I looked up that word. That was really cute. That actually is very like it's stuck in his like head. ESL coded that I really like, because I'm like, oh, I looked up this word. I thought I
knew what it meant, but I had to like look it up again.
Yeah. That was I really liked that. I felt like it was endearing, right?
He was like, I just want to make sure that you're done with Rose and all that stuff. And then they had that conversation. Like, let's move on to like their deeper conversations that felt very like, we're working on a relationship. Yeah. So when he goes to his like hotel room, and like Shane opens up and he's like before we get to the sex. Yeah, he's like, whoa, this is serious.
You know why? Like, I appreciated that because it feels like a weight was lifted off his shoulders in the beginning. Yeah. Because like Rose is like, it's okay. Yeah. I get it. You're gay. You know that meme of like, you're bi. She's like, you're gay. You're gay. It's okay. It's okay. And then he's like,
you want to kiss Miles?
Yeah. I feel like he kind of has this like semi-present smile throughout the episode. Like Shane, he seems a lot more relaxed. Yes. Whereas like I think in the other episodes he's very like high strung. You know, he's a little bit more uppity. Now he's just like, well, while I'm on this like role of having more like open freedom to be who I am, you know what? He's like, I'm gay.
Yeah. And can I say, like, remember we were confused about the timeline? Now I'm like, it's been years, and the Shane that we knew in the beginning, like clearly not, I think it's like 2017 or something.
It is in this episode.
And I'm like, he's matured. So Shane that you and I were introduced in the beginning is now like, I'm putting in work for this. So before, I don't think I would have expected him to have these hard conversations because he was so scared. But remember like when him and Rose were having that conversation when they were like breaking up, and she was asking if he'd like kissed anyone before, and he was having like the montage of Ilia, and I'm like, in his mind he like that was a relationship to him, and now when they're together he's like committing to, I want this to work out. And then having that conversation where he's sitting on the bed and being like, I'm gay, to coming out to Ilia.
And then like, Ilia still starts to put up that front of like, so what are you telling me? What do I, and then we go back to that yo-yo effect of like, what is really going through Ilia's mind, because he's so good at putting up this front of like, well, I don't care. Well, I'm neutral on this, or like, you should date girls.
But asking about Rose and asking about
Then he sneaks those in there. Also, like, did you notice like when they were at the bar? Okay. Like I distinctly remember Ilia tracing Shane's face with his eyes, which was very sexual. And like, I think also because like the light was hitting his like blue eyes, you could see like he looked at his, maybe I noticed this, but I'm sure other people did too. But like his eyes went to his lips, then they went back to his eyes, and they went down to his lips and back to his eyes again. Like as he's talking. And I feel like those are the kind of micro expressions
like
that like
yearning, like missing and like wanting, like they're not able to express that kind of like PDA in public, and it's tough. Like he's probably like going through it.
And also when like he kind of like him and Svetlana I think are in the hotel room, and he kind of like tackles Svetlana like jokingly.
Yeah,
and I feel
so
again
fun.
you get to see a bit more of his goofy side.
Yeah,
and Svetlana knows a lot about hockey too.
Oh, and again, like another woman who's really, you know, doing her part as like a supportive friend, a supportive person.
Yes. She also has a similar kind of vibe with the beginning of the episode with Rose, as she's kind of like setting Shane free. Like, I know you want to go do this other thing, go do it. Go be yourself.
Yeah.
And then Svetlana does the same thing for Ilia, where she's like, listen, you know, you should go be with Jane. Like, you know, he, and she calls Jane he. So like she knows.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, she kind of like sets him free too.
That's true.
Which is really nice. So there's this like parallels that are happening in both of their worlds. And I feel like let's talk a little bit about like the freedom that's granted. I feel like there's a running theme of freedom in this episode.
Okay.
Specifically for Ilia. He talks about how he doesn't want to come back to his home, like Russia. Yeah. He wants to be free from Russia. Yeah. And then also like his father passing obviously like is a sad, tragic moment. But
that was like a big scene.
Yes, but when they're in the hotel, him and Shane, and he cries, he like breaks down, and Shane like, you know, comforts him. And then also then the morning after, how it's a little bit more sweeter.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like they've done a lot of healing, not just like physically that they've reconciled and had those moments, but also like emotionally they've done. I called it couples therapy, but without the therapist.
Yeah.
Like they
true.
Yeah. They were so like hugging, bonding, and just like really were able to talk about, you know,
that should be the next Netflix spin-off, is like them in couples therapy.
Yeah. So basically one of the things Ilia mentions is that like he's like, my father, my brother, my country. You know, like those three things are kind of like his anchors, but at the same time they're not enabling him to be free, right? And so like even though his father has passed, he's kind of like in a bittersweet way, he's free from the expectations of, you know, being straight, not being bisexual, but not being who he is.
Like that scene where he gets into that fight with his brother, and his brother, it just seemed was very like only concerned about himself and like the money or the house, and he's like, I have a daughter and all this stuff, and like they start fighting, and Svetlana comes in and it's just like, it's not worth it, like don't do this. It was so sad. It's like we already knew from other episodes that they have a complicated relationship, and I know like funerals and death can make, you know, like explode a lot of like the dynamics within families. But knowing going into that scene how like sad that Ilia has been about his own like existence, and like wanting to feel like loved, and then being faced with his dad just died and his brother is fighting him about like basically money.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting is like Alexei comes in like hot, right?
Yeah.
He says,
well, he was giving him these threatening looks across the table at the dinner.
Yes, and then he uses the F slur when he accosts him in like the little like bathroom area.
Yeah,
and like, oh, this kind of makes sense to me now, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But like my assumption now is that like I'm like, why does Ilia keep like feeding these bad habits of like giving his brother money?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, maybe his brother has blackmailed him because he knows that he is bisexual, because he uses the F slur against Ilia when he like corners him, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he's like he says something about like it's only for rich F slurs like that get to have like the freedom or exposure or whatever, like, and I'm like, okay, this is where Ilia kind of comes back to his brother and says, you know what, this is all I'm gonna offer you, take it, and then like get away from me. Don't ever like he the tie with his dad is cut, and then the tie with his brother is cut because he puts an immediate stop to it. He's like, this is I'm gonna give you this, no, get the hell out of my face.
I wonder if people who have these relationship dynamics in their own family where they're like the responsible one who takes care of their family, I was like, ooh, this resonates.
Because
I was like, I thought his brother was older, so it was a weird position for me to understand how he's taking care financially of his family. And I know a lot of us, especially like, you know,
Well, he's got that athlete money, right?
yeah, and like I know a lot of people who feel like they have to help out their family. It's like this obligation. They feel guilt, and you don't realize it's getting worse and worse. So I think it got to that place because of like how he was socialized to be the one to help out. And then he even talked about how like later we can talk about the phone call where he's talking about like his brother and his dad are like military or cops. Like that adds in another layer of pressure when they're in these like very hyper masculine.
Exactly.
They're I guess representing very hyper masculine men in comparison to, even though Ilia is an athlete, it's like his brother's like undercutting him with that. I don't know if it was blackmail, but it was just that like, but you're gay, so therefore you're like less and
bisexual, but
yeah, and that was so heavy to learn about him and sad. And then obviously
it got very real. Like, you know, I think he portrayed that experience really well. Like being split between cultures and then like family and freedom, I think was like a huge running theme. And then obviously like that scene comes to a close when like Svetlana quote unquote sets him free. And she's like, you know, like go do what you want to do. And like it's such a nice culmination point because I'm like, if you look at it, terrible circumstances, but he's free now at this moment. He like not only has his like father passed, so the expectation there is gone or less, and then his brother has been cut off. He's like, go get away from me, this is all I'm giving you, you're done.
But he did say he was gonna like leave money to his niece. Yeah, his niece, I love that. Sweet. I was like, he's not like a monster. He was,
no. He's like the money that I'm leaving is like,
there was still like this part of his character that has integrity and is like responsible, and you see that he was like, no, I'm still gonna take care of your daughter, because you were just a minute ago saying like, I have a daughter. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of her. And then like you're saying, he gets set free, but I still feel like, you know, when somebody tells you like to relax or calm down or it's done, your like emotions and your adrenaline is still high. And so when he like has this call with
Shane, that's the next part. Yeah.
So let's talk about like how they've been like talking on the phone more. Remember, it was like pure text. Pure text. It was
we elevated from text to like phone call, which is like, I think a lot of Gen Z talk about like how like, why would I answer a phone call?
And
this is a while ago. The timeline is, you know, more than a few years ago.
I feel like most people literally only have like 2 or 3 people that they like talk
pick
to
up
on
the phone
phone.
for. Yeah. And they're FaceTiming at one point too.
Yes. On the
Keep your glasses on.
Yeah.
Put your glasses back on.
So when he has that conversation while he's like in the alley, obviously all of that emotion and that, you know, that run-in with his brother is still fresh. He's reaching out to somebody who is his like person, you know what I mean? And Shane does an amazing job of like, similar to like what Rose did. It's like prepare a space that felt safe enough for him to open up as much as he felt safe to do. And when it was like, oh, you can tell me in like Russian instead, I had to like read and like rewind a couple parts to catch the whole conversation, because it was just like him kind of pouring out all of the hurt.
And the fact that he did it in Russian, like I think like Shane kind of is like, you know, speak the metaphorically and like quite literally, like speak the language that's easiest for you to release
good point.
your all your pent up, you know, feelings.
That's a good point, because people who know multiple languages and it's like you're translating in your brain to communicate like how you're feeling.
But also because we know Ilia has he struggles with communication. He's unable to be direct, especially about his feelings. So it's kind of like, yes, Russian, quite literally because it's his first language, but also it's a better vehicle in order to first open up at that first level before you say it more directly, right? So,
and this is when you see the most vulnerable version of Ilia that I've seen so far.
Oh my god, he gives us again so much range in this episode.
And he was talking about this like pressure and obligation that they only look at him for money and what they want, and
he's basically a pawn, a tool,
and it's never enough. And I was like, oh no, that's so sad. Like, it's never enough was like something that really like hit me, and like I'm crying. I'm just like, I totally get that feeling for him. When you like in the first episodes, you're like, this guy knows what he wants, he's so confident, but really he was struggling with this identity of like not being enough to his family, and he's giving everything and then not feeling like loved in return.
Yeah.
Is heavy.
And I think when he's like sat there, because he's like crouched down in that little like it's like a little tunnel or something,
yeah.
and he's just saying it so matter of fact in Russian, like his eyes are just kind of like looking out, and he's like just releasing all this stuff.
Yeah, because I wonder if he's ever said it out loud before,
Yeah,
you know, rather than like burying it deep down.
And then he drops the L bomb in Russian. So
So I was like, my little conspiracy theory. So people tell me, I'm like, Shane's before in a couple episodes said that he had learned a bit of Russian. So I'm like, I wonder.
Because he's on the phone and he's kind of like leaning forward.
And he was very emotionally like affected by it. And like, obviously you can get from tone and caring about someone who's clearly hurting. But you know, the little like secret in me is like, maybe he secretly learned Russian, and maybe the books tell you this. Maybe he learned a little
tell
bit.
us, let us know.
It's been years, you know, some Rosetta Stone, like some Duolingo. I'm like, oh man, I would love it, because like the emotional range of Shane just being on the phone was like, give him an Oscar for face.
Yeah. Because like he's in his therapist bag in this episode. Like, let's talk about it. I wanted like explain to me in words.
That's
right.
It's the maturity. In Shane in this episode, crazy.
Scrub back to that like scene where he's like on the phone with Ilia and he's like leaning forward and he's in this like smile. It's so where he's like listening. It's almost as if like you're listening to like some meditation soundtrack. Like he's in the flow. He's in a flow state.
No, I love that.
Okay, and then like closer to the ending, we see things get a little bit more serious. You know what?
Yeah.
I am a little bit like on eggshells throughout this episode, because I'm like, remember what you said about episode 3 and how it felt like the happy montage, happy times montage?
Yeah.
I'm like, where it kind of feels like a skip episode where like, you know, it's things are going seemingly well, right? Like things are not going seemingly well. There's tragedy, but
there's
at the same
growth
time,
and there's like closer connection.
Yeah, the characters have a really good connection. So I'm like, oh God, when's the shoe gonna drop? There's something sad or tragic is coming. I'm like, I hope no one gets on a flight, because I'm like, is something gonna happen to them or whatever? Obviously, people who've read the book know what's gonna happen, but I think the way the TV show sets that up for people who are only just watching the TV show, it's kind of like, oh, like there's always a little bit of
like they were having fun.
Yeah.
He was like, when he got hit, he was like looking back at Ilia.
Yeah.
And then he got hit really, really hard.
Yes. Yeah. They were. Yeah.
So it was showing like, I think, a closer connection to them being themselves. Like they're on the ice. They're like seeing each other. They're in their element and feeling probably the best of themselves at that moment.
Yep.
And then, like you said,
boom.
I know.
I don't know where. And then it's just like, it kind of cuts to, you know, Shane on a stretcher. And then like you hear in the background that like Ilya's really concerned.
Yeah, but
he's like, what's going on?
But he can't show too much because he's like on the opposite team.
Yeah. But they're also like, Ilya, sit down, or Rosanov, sit down. Like, you know, this doesn't concern you, or like, you know,
you're in
like,
the way
like just get out of the way. And he's like clearly concerned. You can hear his voice in the background, right?
And then when Shane, like, I don't know, the paramedics or people who are there, they're like, yeah, don't worry, we'll call your parents. He's like, no, Ilia.
Yeah. There's a lot of like clear concern. There's a lot of like, oh, but like this person also cares about me and I care about them and how they feel. And just then cut to,
it's confirmation and proof. He's saying out loud, even though like probably he's like, you know,
concrete proof.
Yeah.
Right? You can't
his person who he thought of first.
Yes.
Not his parents. He's like, no, not my parents.
In moments of trauma and tragedy, who's the first person that you think of? That's probably somebody that you care a lot about.
In your list. 1 to 10.
You're a humble number 4.
I that's good.
She's in the top.
I wasn't sure if I was gonna crack 5.
What about me for you? You're
5.
like 11.
5.
Fuck you.
5.
All good. Then cut to, we're in the hospital.
Yeah.
And you hear like clearly Shane is on some kind of laughing gas.
He's like vibing.
Hey,
Ilia. He's like reaching out. Reaching out to him, holding his hand.
And then Ilia's there, obviously concerned. He kind of like, you know, makes his way in.
Yeah,
and like
he said, you scared me.
Yeah. So obviously we can see in clear plain daylight that like there's a lot of care. There's a lot of love there.
Yeah.
There's concern. Then he's like, hey,
we're in relationship territory.
Exactly. And then, you know, the nurse comes in and then things get a little bit like,
dang,
okay,
nurse.
Yeah.
Get out of here, nurse. He's fine.
You realize that there was no heavy raunch in this episode?
Yeah. Except for like the cuddling in the hotel.
Yeah.
Which was very much because he wanted to comfort him,
Yeah, it was emotional. It was emotional.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
of course, there was the
It was
implication that they
semi-daylight.
were.
It wasn't dark.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about the beach sunset?
I know.
That was really beautifully shot. That was nice.
And I noticed it was Shane who was like
The hands inching closer together.
Yeah, and Shane was the one like, what's your like room number or something? Like he was the one pursuing.
Yeah.
Whereas before it would have been like Ilia.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like that's one of those like top questions that get asked in this show was like, what's your room number?
True.
Yeah. So Shane has a concussion.
Yeah.
You know, obviously he's going to be okay. He's, you know, we see him later in an arm cast.
Yeah, he's recovering.
Yeah, he's recovering. But then we also see the game.
Right. The game
that they're watching, and like we get the
cup.
We get a callback to Skip. So not even a callback. It is like we revisit their story for a short moment at the very end.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that like and I know this is like pretty like obvious, but like the father, like Shane's father, calling like Shane's mother a witch, and then because she's like foreshadowing like twice in a row, right? She's like Ilia's like hurt his ribs or whatever, right? And then like Shane gets confirmation from that by texting Ilia, and then she's like, oh, Scott Hunter's he's gonna have a really great year, or he's had a really great year.
Yeah.
And then she kind of like walks off, and then you see like it's gonna be a pretty big fucking year for Scott Hunter because like, and then also like. It's like the holy trinity of cups. First, you see like Ilia holding the cup and winning, and then you see like later in the series you see like Shane holding the cup and winning, and now we see like Scott Hunter like with the cup. So it's kind of like they kind of each get their milestones.
So while I was watching this, because obviously Kip was in the audience with his bestie.
That was adorable.
All of the besties were
when he's like crying and he's like, it's so cute and believable.
I missed it. Was he like invited?
I don't know.
Did he know that he was there? So the books.
Y'all need to y'all need to get in the comments and tell us like, were they still kind of in a situationship at that point?
Yeah.
Where like Kip is in the audience with his girlfriend. Yeah, or was he just organically there? But I'm thinking like because Scott like in a huge crowd of people to see your lover.
I don't know.
And to call them down. They must have been on some good territory, right? Because because it's like if we haven't talked for years and you're like, you call me down.
And that's why I got confused about when he was crying. I was like, was he crying because they're not together? Was he crying because he was like proud and happy?
It felt proud to me.
Yeah.
But also maybe there was a little bit of like bittersweet
linger.
Like I wish I could enjoy this with you. And then he comes like running down and is like,
well, when I was watching and like it's a very much a Scott Hunter game. I was like, oh yeah, I remembered from the episode when he had told Kip about what this was going to be, that he had always imagined, he would kind of be finished from hockey and then he would kind of come out. Like he would then be able to free himself and be gay. And that's why he was kind of explaining.
Maybe he's like, I'm done.
That's why he was explaining to Kip, like, this is what this relationship's going to be. I like need you to understand that, right? Like I can't come out now. And so I was like, wait, if this goes well, is he like, I thought they were going to say like he's retiring. And that's all I was hoping for, that he was going to say he was retiring. And then we were going to get like later some sort of like fast forward 2 years later. But we get it all in like a domestic situation.
Yeah,
that's what I was hoping for.
So
Scott Hunter going to retire.
I think like the timelines are always something that's been of interest for us in this series. And I think there's also this idea that like, listen, Crave funded and filmed this like in a very condensed short timeline. There's only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And so like, I think there's one more left, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think at the time they were working with the assumption that they had only so much budget, only so much time. And they're like, we don't know how big this series is going to be. We don't know if we're going to get renewed. So like condense.
Yeah. Well, there's like 6 books. I think whatever they didn't cover, that's what's going to be in the second
But so
series.
where are we in the book series?
I have no idea, because
that's kind of like you guys fill us in.
Yeah. But again, we haven't covered enough of that scene where like obviously Scott is coming out to the world and like
that kiss.
affirming, and that's why I was like, this is a movie. This is a goddamn movie.
It felt like a movie.
And then who's watching the game? Who's
Yeah.
what?
Oh, that was
Okay.
that was like, I think that's where the adrenaline sort of came back.
I needed the 360 drone around them kissing and hugging. I was getting that. Okay, good. I like that. Okay.
It was giving like, the end of like a Disney movie where like,
lift him up.
I thought first I'm like because I don't know what their current state of the relationship is. I'm like, is he gonna propose? I'm like,
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Me
For a
too.
second, I thought that too. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're at, but like, I think that would have been a lot. I think we, like, a lot of people would have just like been raptured at that point.
But again, I was so proud of Millennial Scott. He's clearly showing like being like who was watching. It was Shane and Ilia were watching the game. And
everyone's glued to the game, and they're like, "Wait, what's he doing? What's going on? Wendy Williams, what was that? James, what was that?
Yeah,
like just he kind of skates on
and
over, is looking into the crowd, and then they're
texting each
"Oh,
other.
what's he doing? Oh, I don't know."
No,
and then like Ilia's made references to the fact that he thinks like Scott is hot.
No, Ilia, the way that he's like glued to the screen, he's like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute."
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going
right
on?
After Shane's mother has said like it's going to be a good year for Scott. They're looking at the TV.
What's going on?
Everyone's watching. We see the vantage point from both like sides of like the Shane side, the Ilia side. Like their groups are watching, right? Everyone's glued to the television, and then like when they kiss, like you can see
the world just like was in color.
Like
you know, like in Wizard of Oz when it's like black and then black and white and then it's like color. It's like I feel like Ilia, his eyes were so. Like this is this is what is actually happening right now. Yeah. And they immediately knew like, what does this mean for us?
Yeah. Well, what does he say right after he says, "I'm coming to the cottage"?
Yes.
So like when I say the theme of freedom, it's revisited several times, and I feel like there's a burst at the end where like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because he was hesitant to come to
accept the cottage invitation.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
No, but he said we're gonna be alone.
Oh, alone. Yeah. True.
But then he had a hesitation in coming to the cottage, and all of a sudden he's like, "I'm coming to the damn cottage."
Yeah, and Shane did not expect that's what they were going to talk about. They're probably like, "Oh, well, let's gossip about what we just saw." Like Shane,
that also
like,
felt
what
really,
was that? What
that
just
also
happened?
felt really real to me.
That they called each other,
reacting in real time. Like, holy shit! Did you see what just happened?
Yeah. Oh my god, like calling him, and I think that just gave them a new pathway for their relationship.
Yeah.
And is like a model of what could be.
Yeah. So it was kind of aspirational at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like, my assumption is that like he's coming to the cottage because he feels like, oh, if they can have this, why can't we have this? And again, that might be an assumption. So let's see where it goes.
And then did you see Shane's parents were right there? There were
I was waiting to see. I'm like, what are they going to say? Because I'm like, is Shane also looking at his parents of like, are they down with this? Are they?
I was looking at his parents because clearly the scene was putting them.
The fact
all
that they
together.
both get up and walk away.
Yeah.
And privately have that conversation on the phone.
So this felt like a movie, and I mean, if this was a movie, I'm like, oh yeah, the sequel is coming. So the next episode,
I know. I was like, wow, we got to like the end of that arc really, really quickly, and of course we have to because it's a limited series that has now been renewed. But like, I think the assumption was like, we don't know if we're gonna get picked up again. Yeah. People don't usually support queer content, so let's just make it like really digestible. Yeah. Or not. Let's just make it really compressed. Yeah. But like, obviously, with all the hype that's been there, and like, I wonder where they're gonna go from here because I'm like, do we still have problems to solve? And I'm sure. In the books, there will be plenty of problems to solve.
I was happy to see Skip come back.
Yeah, that was really sweet. But
I feel like that was, like you said, it feels like that was kind of resolved. I'm hoping there's more. Like I don't want to just be like assume that everything's happy. I'm like, I think there's.
So I guess we'll see where it goes from here. We're excited. Like there's one more episode left. It's literally, sorry, spoilers, but like it's called The Cottage.
Yeah.
or something about the cottage.
Yeah, it is called The Cottage, I think.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens.
That is so Canadian too. It's like let's go to the cottage. Yeah. Exactly. But no, I loved it. I think this is a great episode. It's
pure fan service. I think
it brought everything that I was heartbroken and like confused about. So much clarity, hope, and like when I was wondering, oh no, like is this gonna be a sad ending? No.
Not everything needs to be ending. Not everything needs like a sad ending. I think like they did sadness really well in parts, but then it was like there's enough momentum to like come back from that and then visit different themes. Yeah.
I'm excited. It's good.
All right, so I guess get ready for episode 6.
Anticipation.
Yeah, which comes out next week on like it's the night of Christmas or like the day of the Boxing Day. It's like whatever the Friday midnight. So like if you stay up super late on Thursday when it becomes Friday,
we did.
yeah, you will see it.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's time for the replay report card for episode 5. Maxine, please tell us what's the criteria.
This is where we break down how raunchy it is, how real it feels, and how riveting it was.
Okay, let's get into how raunchy it was. You know what? There wasn't actually much raunch in this episode that you could see.
There was phone sex, yeah.
Yeah, there was phone sex. Put those glasses back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think, and hey, it's not a bad thing.
No,
we got a lot of closure. We got a lot of romance. I feel, right?
Intimacy, sensuality.
But if I'm being honest to the report card, I would say 5 in terms of raunch.
And if I'm biased, I'll say 6. So let's be
5.5.
Okay, let's do 5.5.
Okay, 5.5.
Okay.
And then in terms of how real it was, I think like we had some major breakthroughs.
A lot of authenticity, I think, for the characters.
Yeah.
Especially around
Ilia's.
Sadly, around Ilia's like family dynamics and like his background.
The immigrant experience, the Russian, the being Russian, and the theme of freedom. I feel like it was like very relatable.
And then everyone coming out.
Yes. Oh, let's give it.
There's 4 come outs in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, let's give it a
9.
Yeah, 9. There. In agreement.
Excellent.
All right.
Finally, riveting storytelling.
Yeah.
This gave me everything. Everything I wanted.
Yes.
Everything I was lacking in the previous episode. This gave it to me. This gave me Ilia vulnerability, character defining moments. It gave me closure in the skip, like will they, won't they? Oh yes, they're together forever.
I love seeing a skip callback.
You know, a little love story, and obviously now we're like super excited and hyped for what's gonna happen next. So this gave me a lot, like the relationship between parents, family.
There's
friends.
so much packed into it, and like for me, it was like in a good way. So
not in an overwhelming way.
I think
perfect.
10.
Perfect. Oh, 10. 10 out of 10.
She's getting a 10.
Yay!
Okay, and that brings us to a royal score of, because it gave us such a, sorry to use this term, happy ending. Because like raunch maybe doesn't need to factor as heavily.
Yeah.
What do you say about bumping it up to a 9?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
really liked this episode.
Okay.
It was fun. It was a good watch. All right, 9 out of 10.
Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. Look at.
Better be a 10.
See you at the cottage. Hey, did you like this episode / review of Heated Rivalry, episode 5? If you did, remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to see more videos just like this.
And make sure you follow us on TikTok at Scroll Interrupted Show and on Instagram.
Instagram
on Instagram at Scroll Interrupted. See you there.
Bye.